Hello, it's Kate from Whole Self Leadership here. It's lovely to be with you. I'm coming on today because, for a number of reasons, partly stuff that I'm noticing in my own awareness, which may be helpful for you as a look at colour, and partly what I'm being asked to look to. So I got asked a question yesterday, which is, what does blue and green mean? And that got me thinking, and I responded to it, but I thought, well, actually it could be useful to explore what that combination means on a video for my channel. So we're going to look at that. And we're also going to look at the colours that I've been drawn to. So in particular red, which you can see in the polo neck that I'm wearing. I also happen to be wearing dark navy jeans, and blue is the other colour that I've been really attracted to of late. And it was really interesting because as I put together which red bottle to work with, the one that came up was a red and orange one, because there are no solid red bottles in the system that I work with. And firstly, that I was attracted to that because I was wearing red and orange yesterday, which might seem to you an odd combination, but it was one I found myself in. And then I realised what is fascinating about that is that red and orange are the complementary colours to blue and green, which is what I was asked about first off at the beginning of the day. And as I said to you, I've also been drawn a lot to red and blue recently. So it all seems to be connected. So I wanted to share that with you, because often in colour, when we look at what people are choosing and we're helping them to make sense of it, we look at the shadow, what is sitting behind that, which is not what people are sharing, which kind of links back to the way that Jung works, Jungian psychology, which is really about looking at the dark and the light, what's in the shadow, what's in the collective unconscious. And that's kind of how I work with colour. So that felt really significant. So let's start with the blue and the green. So here's the blue bottle, and I picked this one because it's the first blue bottle that we get to in the system. And just notice as you look at these, which one you're drawn to. This is the second one, the green one, more of a solid colour rather than two different colours. And then let me show you the two bottles together, and you can tell me which one, or notice for yourself which of the two you're drawn to, or which of the two you're drawn to, and also how they look together, what's coming up for you, because you know inside of yourself when you see those two colours together. So what's coming up for me is that there is something very pleasing in the blue, and I would associate it in some ways with the deep feminine, because it is the moon bottle. And then the green is called Mercury, and Mercury was the messenger of the gods. This is about communication. And actually what I really feel here, because it's also within the energy of the year, and right now we're in Mercury Retrograde, as you may or may not know, which means that we have to be a little bit careful about our communications. It's not a time to start a new project or to sign a contract, because who knows what you're going to find. And that's also within the bottle of Mercury, interestingly. And I had an experience of that today, where I had a very clear view on a particular issue. And when I meditated on it with my mentor, and afterwards we meditated together, and then I continued to meditate on it on my own, what came up was to be careful. Sometimes we think we have the answers, that we know what the truth is, and it's actually the trickster or coyote in shamanic terms, who's playing a bit of a trick on us and blinding us from the truth. And it only comes to us when we really connect into our higher self. So that felt really significant, and that can often be really subtle. So we think, yeah, I know what this is, and this is all great. Is it? The other thing to, on a less positive note with that combination of the blue and the green, is that often it signifies someone who's really conflict averse, doesn't like things not to work, so will sugarcoat the truth, or at best, or perhaps even manipulate somebody rather than have that hard conversation. So just be aware, are you trying to control a situation, manipulate data or emotions, or even are there any passive aggressive tendencies that you're aware of, instead of being clear about how you feel about that. And then in a positive sense, what we're looking at here is it's all about being at peace and accepting, and it can be quite heart-opening being with what is. So there's a real positive to, blue and green as a combination. So then I want to go to the opposite colour to that, which is in this bottle here. I don't know if you can see, but it's red in the top and orange in the bottom. So how do you feel about that one? You might like it, you may not like it so much. It's all information. That is called Mars. And for me, it's quite complementary. So if I take that as my red bottle, how do you feel when you see these two together, the blue and the red? Which one are you drawn to most? You feel free to leave a comment in the below, and I will come back to you. But they are very different. Again, the blue representing the feminine, the red representing the masculine. So the blue is about the being, and the red is about doing. And we actually need both, and we need them to be balanced, because sometimes we do need to take action, but it's aligned action that we're looking for. And that red and orange bottle is called Mars. And what I learned yesterday is that on the 7th of October, which is very soon now, Mars goes conjunct with the sun, which is quite interesting. So it's really about, this is a time of rebirth, a time of chaos, because Mars, after all, was the god of war. So everything's being thrown up in the air. And that does feel there's some truth in that. And it's quite interesting, because obviously when you have red and blue are two of the complementary colours, you think, well, actually I'm missing the other, two of the primary colours. I'm missing the other primary colour, which is, of course, yellow. And this is the first bottle in the whole system. It's called the sun bottle. And as you know, if you combine red and yellow, you get orange, which is the colour in the bottom of that red bottle that I showed you. And orange signifies the creative life force and is linked to the sacral chakra, the second chakra, red being linked to the root chakra and yellow to the solar plexus chakra. So that's quite interesting. Also, when I was saying that Mars goes conjunct with the sun, and that yellow bottle is called the sun, so it feels really important to have it here, to add that other piece towards it. So again, there's some really helpful information there. But let's talk a little bit about the combination that I was saying that I'm drawn to. And I say I'm drawn to it, I find myself wearing a lot of red and blue at the moment. I have a new pair of shoes that are blue with a red trim. I've got a new handbag which is red with a little bit of a blue trim. So there's definitely a red and blue thing going on in my life. So I really wanted to feel into those two colours together. What do we get when we combine them? So red, in many respects, represents the material. And there's something about, with these colours, we're building a foundation, a really solid foundation, because when you put red and blue together, you get violet, and violet is the colour of Saturn in our system. And is opposite the sun bottle, because violet and yellow are complementary colours. And that represents a solid foundation too. So it can really actually mean when those colours come out that yes, here is somebody who's really mastered the material, really knows how to be okay with money, not in a greedy way, but in a, you know, I can make money and I don't feel guilty about it, and also can possibly teach other people and show them how to make money as well, because, you know, after all, that is, in the 3D world, that's where we're at. You know, we've created money, and for the time being at least, money is going to be part of our world. So there's a real element of that going on with that combination. But again, if you get, as I said, if you get put red and blue together, you get violet. So we're really close to this bottle, which has the two colours together. And as you can see, some people think it's actually blue in the top. In fact, it is violet or purple. We call it violet in colour mirrors. And so think how that feels for you. You know, there's a sort of real royalty almost to that combination. And it's called Heaven on Earth. And actually it's why I'm wearing sort of a lilac-y violet with my red jumper, mirroring that, because that's almost what's here. Because at the end of the day, and I think this is the key message for today, that, you know, depending on what your vibration is, you can either feel like you are living in heaven on earth, or it can feel like hell if you've got a really low vibration. And, you know, particularly if you're not feeling well, if you're tired, and there's been a lot of tiredness recently, possibly because we've got a new moon in Libra coming up. Actually, red's a really good colour to work with. It can energise you and give you that sense of that ability to carry on. So that's helpful too. As I say, it's remembering you can have heaven on earth or you can have hell on earth. The choice is yours, and it depends on what level you're vibrating at. And I think that comes back to one of the first colours we looked at, the green. We talked a lot about communication, but another aspect of green, of course, is being in nature. It's slowing down, which is probably why it's complementary to red, which is about go. And it's that really reveling in the silence, actually desiring to be in communion with God or in meditation, rather than thinking, I must do this, you know, to be more connected. And actually, when you're in that silence, feeling the spaciousness of it, it's so the opposite from intention. You know, lots of coaches and people say, oh yes, have an intention, be clear about your intention. So if you expand that word, you get to inner tension, because there's something about holding on to it, about making things happen. If you're really only concerned and aware of your vibration and level you're vibrating at, how much light is in your body and you're bringing to others, when your focus is there, then everything can shift. Then that's when it can feel like heaven on earth, even if there are things that you don't feel entirely comfortable with. Going back to the Mars energy, there may be a huge amount of chaos, but deep inside, you know, even if that's on the outside, you know, inside, all is well, all shall be well, and all things shall be well, as Mother Julian of Norwich said many, many years ago. And I say, well, they're just words. But, you know, words are part of communication, part of the blue in the throat chakra. And she said those at a time when there was the bubonic plague and nobody really knew what caused it, and all these people were dying. And yet it's how we feel inside, how clear our connection is to our higher selves, so that, you know, things might go wrong on the 3D level, but if we go in and we connect at the 5D level, then we get a different perspective altogether. And I think that's what all of this is calling us to, you know, be really clear about our vibration. So I hope that's helpful, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye for now.